around with it. I can tune the bass drum, for instance, and break the speakers if I want to. I have my mixer, so it's really easy to live mix. I can set the gain levels of each instrument as well, so I can have my perfect mix in each drum kit. I can have with all the faders on max. So let's have a listen to some 909. Now we also have actually individual compression on the kick and the snare as well. So if I take out the compressor, now it's compressor off, compressor on. So you can make it really extra snappy and punchy with the kick and snare. And also the sequencer is really easy to use. Actually everything is really easy to use here, so let's just start from scratch. Now I clear this pattern, it's rolling, it's completely empty. I'll just put in some bass drum like this. I can add some snare, clap, hi-hat, some cymbals. So it takes like 5 seconds to make a complete drum beat. Maybe add some percussion here. Now, something really interesting is the sequencer is not only for drum sounds, but it's actually for the effects as well. So we have 2 effect units on board. We have reverb and delay, and they actually have 8 types of them each, and all the types sound very different. And I can now sequence the effects. So for instance, I can put reverb on whatever step I want. So I can put some reverb on step number 5, and it will sound like this. Also made on step number 1. Now I can do, of course, the same thing with the delay as well. So I'll put some delay on step number 13. So that little glitchy effect you hear, that's what we call the scatter effect. And actually that is a theme we have for all of these products. So all of the products have scatter effect. What it does is it records the entire pattern and then it chops it up into small little bits, and it will do all kinds of stuff to those bits, like loop them, reverse them, add filtering and stuff like that. So we can start with a scatter depth on quite low level, and I'll show you how it works. So now I activate the effect, and now we can increase the intensity. Like that. So we also have several types of scatter effects. So this is type number 1, which is kind of basic looping, but there is also type number 7, which is more kind of a pitch shifting effect like this. Oh, sorry, wrong. Here we go. So that's the scatter effect. And now, very important also, all these devices, again, they have USB connectors, so you can easily record it into your Logic or Cubase, Ableton, whatever you're using. You can record digitally through USB. And also, the TR8 actually has 14 separate outputs, so you get the kick, snare, hi-hat, clap, all of this separately on separate channels in your DAW system in just one recording tape. So that's cool. TR8. Now, also it has an external input, so I can, for instance, put in my bass line here. Let's try, let's use this one, for instance. So now my TV3 is going into the TR8. I'll give you a straight pattern to make it more obvious. Okay, so they're MIDI synchronized, but the line signal is also going into the TR8. What that means is now I can apply some different stuff to that sound or to that input. For instance, I have sidechain compression, and this is also triggered by the step sequencer. So I can put sidechain compression, for instance, on step 1, 5, 9, 13. That means on the quarter notes, and I will get this typical David Guetta ducking effect. not tricked by the bass drum, it's tricked by the step sequencer individually. So I can put sidechain compression on just step number 1 and it will sound like this. So that's how the external input works. You can also apply a gate effect, which is actually kind of reversing that style and just chopping up the incoming signal into the steps. So that's a little bit about TR8. Be on the lookout also for future releases for the TR8 because you can even expand the sounds inside as well. So TR8, and now let's go to the TB3. So this is based on our classic bass from the 80s, the TB303, of course. If you know this machine, it basically spawned the entire acid style music. And you have all of those legendary TB303 sounds in here, but you also have a lot more and a lot more new functions. So let's start with a typical dry TB303. It sounds like this. Now you have the characteristics of the accent and all this stuff on the slide. And very, very smooth filter as well. But now, like I said, you have all kinds of effects inside. There's distortion, compression, delay, reverb, flanger, phaser, all kinds of effects. And let's try it with some effects. This is my favorite. And but not only TB303 sounds, but also completely different bass sounds and lead sounds as well. So all kinds of sounds in the TB3, not just the TB303 sounds. And you can also assign different sounds to different patterns. So when you change the pattern or the bass line, it automatically changes the sound as well. What else do we have here? We have, of course, the pad. Now, as you might be able to tell, this does not have a physical keyboard. It has a pad, and the reason for this is that this pad serves several purposes. So I can use it as a keyboard, of course. But I also have XY play, which is kind of like a keyboard but without the steps. And it has XY, so I can control, for instance, keyboard notes and volume at the same time. It even has a third parameter, which is applied by off-touch. If I take, let's see, another sound here. I'll take this one. And I use this effect. So now you get modulation when I press my finger harder as well. Those are some functions that the pad here has. You can also switch the patterns with it. So now I'm in pattern select mode. I can just change my arrangement as I go. So it's very, very useful for live situations, and this is what I'm doing here. I'm doing everything live, so I can affect what bass line is playing, what lead sound is playing, lead melody, and also what drum beats are playing individually. So it's really easy to be in complete control when you're playing live. Or if you're a DJ, you synchronize this with your tractor setup or CDJs, whatever you're using. Just send a MIDI clock to it, and you can actually be more creative on stage than just playing other people's music. So that's the TB3, and I'd also like to talk a little bit about the VT3 as well, which I have right here. My microphone is already connected to this one. So basically this is a voice processor, vocoder and synthesizer in one. And also it's actually an audio interface as well, because like I said, all of these have built-in audio interfaces. So, what do we have here? We have pitch and format for starters. So, with pitch and format, I can in real time pitch my voice and also change the voice characteristics. So, if I turn the pitch knob here, I can go up a whole octave like this. I can also go down a whole octave. But I also have the
format slider. Now this makes me change the character of my voice without affecting the pitch.
So
I'm still on the same pitch.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star. As you can hear,
Same pitch, but
Just smaller or bigger voice. Now, if I combine these in the right or wrong ways, I can
sound like a little girl.
or I can sound like a big dude.
I can also sound like
Like a big girl.
Or a small dude.
so you can really
Combine this.
As you wish.
Just
Mess up your voice completely.
and so this is something individual from the effects. Also, you can add the robot function. This basically uses my real voice, but it will transpose it to one note and just stay on that note all the time. So if I have the robot function on, as you can hear, I'm just on one single note now. I can always, I can put it up here as well, or I can put it down here and sound more like
Like a vocoder.
so this is individual from the effects. You can do whatever you want with this part. Now you also have a lot of effects on board. I have auto pitch, like for instance. So I can, I can put some auto tune and sound like Britney Spears. Now, as you can hear, I can change my voice to sound like a little girl and use auto tune at the same time. And I like to do this sometime and you know, sing a nice love ballad like. So all in real time, very easy to control. You can actually even control the pitch with a keyboard. If you're using this in your DAW and USB, you can just send MIDI signals to it and control the notes. You can also control the different controllers like the pitch and format with control change messages as well. We also have the classic vocoder sound. You might know this one. Very famous BP330 vocoder. And you can, of course, but you can also turn off the robot mode and go so you can really control it as you wish like that. We also have some synth sounds here. Maybe some spooky science fiction lead. So nice for cheesy science fiction movies. And also bass. I call it dubstep for beginners. You just scream something into the mic and it turn this effect on. We also have the megaphone effect, which is really good if you're pissed off and you want to rap about it. So you can go like Beastie Boys. Or you can go Limp Bizkit. This time I'm gonna let it all come out. This time I'm gonna stand up and shout. So all kinds of possibilities there. We have a radio effect as well. And the scatter effect that sounds like this, and it actually has a very interesting delay that changes the delay time based on your input. So I can do something slow. Hello. Or if I do something faster. So, very interesting delay in this kind of effect on the VT3. So that's what the VT3 is about. And lastly, I would like to introduce the System 1. This is what we call the plug-out synth. So this basically means you have like several synths in one. So I have the System 1 mode and the plug-out mode. Plug-out mode is a slot where I can import various Roland analog classics. We just released the first one, which is the SH101. So you import that here and you get a virtual SH101. Now this also works freely as a plugin. So you have your SH101 plugin in your computer completely freely without the System 1. You can use it. And it sounds exactly the same like it does in here. And of course it communicates really well with the plugin, with the controllers. But you can also import it in here, disconnect the USB, and you just have your SH101 in here. So we just released that one. We have more models coming up, and they will all be classic, very famous Roland analog synths. So, System 1. So this is System 1 mode. And I can also go to the plug-out mode. virtual SH101 in here. With a really characteristics of an SH101. Also, when I go to the SH101, some knobs of these will go dark, so I can see easily which parameters are available and which are not in the new synth that I imported.